Hi, I'm Sean Lyle, Senior Solutions Architect specializing in media services for AWS Elemental. Today, I want to talk to you about a feature within our MediaLive product called Workflow Wizard. This is the fastest and easiest way to get a live stream up in your account today. So let's jump into the console and take a look at our Workflow Wizard. We're in the MediaLive dashboard now. If you've never been to the MediaLive dashboard, you can just click Services and then scroll down to Media Services and you'll find it under there in MediaLive. You can also type MediaLive into the search here as well and you'd find it that way. Once you're in this dashboard, you can go ahead and make sure you're in the right region for your needs. And then over on the left-hand side, if you click on this, it's going to open a panel that's going to give you a lot of options. Now, we could go in and set all these options up manually, but today we're going to focus on the Workflow Wizard as previously stated. For the Workflow Wizard, we're going to go ahead and create a workflow. We're going to call that workflow Demo 01. You can call yours whatever you'd like. And then we need to pick a MediaLive channel class. We're going to pick a single pipeline. Now the difference between a standard and a single pipeline is a standard pipeline has redundancy. So it's running two encoders in different availability zones to give you a true redundant pipeline. Single pipeline is what you typically choose when you're testing a workflow, you're in development, or you don't have the need for redundancy in your pipeline. We're going to pick single pipeline today because we're in development and testing a workflow. So I already have an IAM role that I can assign, which is this MediaLive access role. You could create this role if you've never used MediaLive before. It'll create it for you. And then I recommend remembering your role. As you noticed when I came in here, this was already set up because I had remembered this previously. So now we'll go ahead and click Next. We're going to pick an MP4 input, but we do accept on the Workflow Wizard a link input. That's a Elemental link device that you can send out to locations that will automatically contribute your signal into the cloud. You can do an RTMP push, and you could also do a Media Connect workflow. Today we're going to be focusing on MP4 because I have an open source movie that I'll just use for this. So we're going to create a new input using MP4. I already have the URL in my clipboard, so I'm just going to go ahead and paste that, which is just pointing to an S3 bucket and to open source movie Tears of Steel. Now I need to tell the system what this input is. I know that this is an H.264, I know that it's an HD resolution, and I actually know that it's less than 10 megabits per second. Now this is important because this helps to size the resources in the background that are going to be used for your live stream workflow. So we'll go ahead and click Next. Now we can select our outputs that we want to use with this package. Today we're going to use Media Package with the Workflow Wizard, but we do also have the ability to send HLS to Media Store. We have the option to send to Facebook directly, which is essentially an RTMP-S, and then we're following Facebook's best practices for encoding. We also have the same thing for YouTube. So if you went to YouTube, still an RTMP in this case, and then we're following their best practices for encoding. And we have Twitch preset as well. Now, if you had a different RTMP location, you can still pick one of these three that matches your needs the closest, and then you could make those changes later. For now, we're going to use Media Package, which as you see here is creating an actual ABR or an adaptive bitrate package. And so that's doing multiple encodes. Now I want to do a 1080p. My content is 30 frames per second, so I'm going to remove the 720p 60, and then I'm going to keep all of the 30 frame per second renditions. You notice we have an NTSC format, we have a PAL format as well. So if you had 25 frame per second or 50 frame per second content, that's also covered. And then if you have things like 2398 or 24 frame per second content, you can certainly pick these and then just make adjustments in the MediaLive channel manually. This still saves you a bunch of time. I'll show you that in a moment. So now that we've got our renditions selected, we're going to go ahead and click Next. And this is just going to give you a review page, making sure that all of the settings that you've picked on the previous pages is actually what you want to create. So we'll go ahead and create this workflow. And this is going to do a lot for you. We have a MediaLive input being created. We have a MediaLive channel being created. We have Media Package being created, and then several endpoints for Media Package like HLS, CMAF, and Dash. And then last but not least, we have a CloudFront distribution being created. So I'm going to go ahead and let all of these finish, and then we'll move on with the demo. Okay, everything has completed except for the CloudFront distribution, but I'm not too worried about the CloudFront distribution. That typically could take up to 15 minutes because it's propagating out to the edge locations. So we'll let that one go ahead and continue to churn. So what I'm really interested in on the left-hand side first is inputs. I want to show you we just created demo 1 input, and that is using our input source as described. Then when we move over to channels, we have demo 01. So I can click into this channel. Now, by the way, I could just start this by selecting this here and clicking start, or I can click into the channel. I can still click start. That's going to give me a lot of features like being able to see the health of this live channel. But I want to show real quick how you can actually edit this channel. Maybe you didn't like the 30 frame per second preset that was there. Maybe you need 2398. Well, you could come in here to each one of these layers and you could manually set your frame rate to whatever you wanted. So if you wanted 2398, it'd be 24,000 divided by 1001. If you wanted a hard 24, you would just do 24 by 1. That's how we get our fractional frame rates. So we're not going to make any of those changes, but I just wanted to show how that was possible. We'll go ahead and cancel this. We've got our channel set up here, and we're just going to go ahead and start that channel. Since we're pushing this to Media Package, I want to go ahead and open Media Package. So I can type in Media P, and that'll get me to Media Package. And rather than clicking this, we want to right-click this and open it in a new tab. That's going to enable you to stay on the MediaLive panel while this is starting. So now we're going to go over and take a look at our deployment in Media Package. So we've got Demo 1. And if we take a look, we can actually see what the inputs are to Demo 1. And what we really care about here is the endpoints. Once again, if you decided you only need HLS, you can just delete these other endpoints and get rid of them. The goal with Workflow Wizard is to make things as simple as possible. So rather than having to come in here and add more endpoints, you can just come in here and delete the endpoints that you might not want. I'll go ahead and leave all of these up. So let's go ahead and take a look at our open source movie. So you can see the movie playing back great in Media Package. And if you notice, this is your origin. This is the Media Package in the US West region that we were playing when we looked at it. But what about your CloudFront URL? Well, you can see down here you have a CloudFront URL. You can actually show the QR code to your CloudFront URL if you wanted to paste that into an email or something to that effect. You could copy this address and paste that into whatever player you wanted to display your content in. Or if you have a browser that's capable of playing back M3U8, Chrome offers extensions for M3U8 playback as an example. You could open this directly in the browser. So we've got a workflow going from MediaLive all the way out to the content distribution network with only a few clicks, as you can see. So we're going to go back to MediaLive to take a look at the health. And you can see now by our dashboard that we had a lot of network in to begin with because it downloaded the file. And then now we've got a network out and how many megabits it's actually putting out in the network, what the input frame rate of this content is. And then if you saw drop frames or fill milliseconds or even UDP input loss, if you weren't using an MP4 as your input, these might be alerts for you to understand that there are some problems in your pipeline. The last thing I want to show is if we go into this channel and we select it and we click stop, we're now stopping the channel, and then we can go right over to the Workflow Wizard and we can go ahead and click into Demo 1 and delete the workflow. So that will tear down all of those resources automatically for you, even if you've made some changes to things like the MediaLive input or the Media Package endpoints. This is going to go through and remove all of the individual pieces that made up this workflow. I hope that this video has proved useful to you and that you are now able to create a live stream within MediaLive in just moments. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video.